to the April 2nd meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. It's great to be here. Happy April. We're officially now just 3 months away from the big America 250. So it's time for some more fun facts. Since our last bicentennial in 1976, we've doubled the number of people 65 and older in our country. Just 18%, so it don't matter. The number or percent of foreign-born people tripled. Now it's 15%. Number of Hispanics has quadrupled. Overall, we've added 120 million people, so now we're up to 340 million. 6 out of 10 of us now live in the South or the West. Number of folks with bachelor's degrees have tripled, now 37%. Share of married couples dropped to 50%. It was 69% 50 years ago. Number of children women have now averages out to 2 instead of 3. And the share of adults in the middle class has decreased, the lower and upper class has increased. So that's a snapshot of who we are in the last 50 years. We haven't stopped praying, so Melissa Cobb has been working all week on our prayer. She is a business development person at Signorama downtown. One of the all-time great mentors for our students at Iroquois and Western.
Ski accident.
Are we ready, Rotarians? Yes. Good morning. As we gather here in Louisville, our city, shaped by the steady flow of the Ohio River and shared efforts of generations, let us take a quiet moment to reflect. We all come from different paths, beliefs, and experiences, yet we are united by something deeply human, the desire to do good, to leave our communities better than we found them, and to find meaning in that work. As Khalil Gibran wrote, work is love made visible. In that spirit, we may see our service not as obligation, but as an expression of who we are at our very best. We are, each of us, of blood and bone, shaped by time, by those who have guided us, and by the lessons we have learned along the way. Our emotions rise and fall with experiences, but through it all, we are given the opportunity to choose compassion, integrity, and purpose. Let us be mindful that even small acts of service ripple outward, touching lives we may never fully see. And in those moments, we often discover something unexpected, that in giving, we are also fulfilled. In lifting others, we ourselves are lifted. May this meeting be guided by wisdom, grounded in respect, and inspired by a shared commitment to what is good and right. And may we leave here renewed in our purpose to serve with open minds, generous hearts, and a deep appreciation for one another.
Thank you, Melissa. Sorry about that. All right, now to lead us in the pledge. The Rotary four-way test is Tyler Allen, the owner of USA Image Technologies and Paul House.
Thank you very much. Apparently the pledge goes first. Will you join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And will you join me in repeating the four-way test?
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Appreciate it. Rotarians, if you have a guest, please come on up and introduce them. Guests, please stand when you are introduced.
Hi, I'm Lisa Sardine. I'm with
first hour of grief recovery, and I have brought Michelle Stotts with me today and Ann Chancey. Hello, Standard Dodge. You heard Jack Black was doing his 5th Saturday Night Live guest hosting. I have my second returning guest, Sherry Hildreth, who told me that she's here again today because you have to attend 2 meetings before you become a Rotarian. This is meeting number 2. So
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Kuchenberg. I'm a relationship strategist at PNC Private Bank, and I have my colleague Neil Byrne here today. Neil is a wealth strategist on our team, so a financial planner. In his background, he's an attorney and a CPA, and an all-around wonderful guy.
My guest today is Matt Wallace. He's the producing artistic director for Kentucky Shakespeare. And I'm glad that he's here joining us at Rotary today.
President Kim, Steve Jester, I'm pleased to introduce my guest today, my wife Diana.
Strategic Communications. My guest today is Hannah Williamson. She is the Executive and Internal Communications Manager for Heaven Hill Brands. And Sherry Paula's wife, who is my business partner on our new influence marketing firm called Access Influence.
Melissa Cobb with Sun Ramadan Town, and I have 2 wonderful guests who join me today. Joanna Wheatley, Senior Vice President, Treasury Management Officer at Republic Bank, and has been banking 25 years. In a nutshell, she shares cash flow expertise for business owners. Thank you for joining us today. I'd also like to welcome Katie Blakely. She is president and owner of Flooring Concepts, a commercial and residential flooring company based in Sellersburg. I had the privilege of meeting Katie while supporting her signage project when she was CEO at Pet Insurance. Thank you for joining me.
Welcome all of you, and after the meeting, if you want to learn more about Rotary, you can join Hall of Famer Craig Sherman at the Rotary table where Colleen is counting money. I see a big check over there. All right, our weekly reading sessions with our 8th grade boys at the West End School on Mondays will resume April 13th. Go through May 11th at 1:20 each Monday. We'll be reading A Long Walk to Water. You'll be inspired by the interaction with these bright young scholars. You can see Walt Kuna or Rick Harnett from Renfro or get a copy of the book. This Monday at noon is the deadline to register for our Rotary Spring Fling at the Zoo, April 14th from 4 to 6 p.m. in Zoo Vision. We have 38 signed up so far. It's going to be a great event. We have 2 more Rotary Honor Scholars mentoring sessions this school year, April 14th at Western High School and April 22nd at Iroquois High School. And we do have a few more spots left for the Rotary Day at the Downs, April 29th. Scan the QR code, purchase tickets, or look for the link on our website homepage. We're expecting over 300 attendees at our Tri-State Rotary All-Stars Conference at the Golf House, May 5th or 8th and 9th. We hope to present a truckload of new and gently used shoes to the luncheon keynote speaker, the one and only Waterstep founder and CEO Mark Hobb, also a Rotarian. We will have the collection box at our next 3 meetings. Join us Friday, May 15th to help raise the roof with Habitat for Humanity on the next home. And save the date Saturday, June 6th for our next Repair Affair service project. See Alyssa Ray or Larry Sloan for more details. And happy to announce Craig Sherman will once again host our summer social Sunday, June 7th. You'll find all this information and more in DACDB and on the calendar at ruralrotary.org, along with upcoming community meetings, Rotary University sessions, and more service projects and events. If you haven't already, follow us online on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Each week, we like to have those who have joined us or rejoined us in the past 12 months be recognized. So if you are one of those folks, please stand so we can give you a big rousing cheer. All right, if you're one of the papers, make sure you give them an Easter basket before you leave. We also like to celebrate our longer-term Rotarians, and Barry Allen is one of those. Barry, come on up. Tell us how wonderful we love Rotary.
We need a new photo. Thank you, President Ian, and welcome, and thank you for being here today, my fellow Rotarians. I was born and reared in Mississippi and destined to be in the, can't hear me? Born in Mississippi, destined to be in the automobile business like my father and his father before him. But my father died of lung cancer at age 43, the summer following my graduation from high school. So my world changed completely. And it was during the summer of my junior year at the University of Mississippi that I sensed God calling me into a full-time Christian vocational service, not as a pastor, but in some capacity. And so my pastor advised me, and following my graduation from Ole Miss in 1970 with a Bachelor of Business Administration, I moved to Louisville and entered the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary and started a Master of Divinity degree program. So during my first year at the seminary, I actually got a part-time job and an internship in the business office of the Kentucky Baptist Convention. And that resulted in a 44-year career. The first 25 of which was the Kentucky Baptist Convention, the largest religious organization in the state, and I became the chief business officer of the convention at age 27. And then following that, 19 years, I was the president and CEO of the Kentucky Baptist Foundation, from which I retired in 2015 at the age of 67. Now, I had the blessing of having an almost 11-year encore career with the Gein Foundation here in Louisville, a private independent grant-making foundation. And fellow Rotarian, Lori Flannery, succeeded me in that role. I retired October of 2025. I'm married, Marie, 48 years in May. We have two married sons and one 6-year-old granddaughter. I joined Rotary in May of 2015. Since that time, I served on the Foundation Committee, and I'm currently serving on the Service Projects Committee. So the value of Rotary for me is found in its purpose, its people, and its philanthropy. Purpose. My Rotary experience keeps me motivated to incorporate into my daily life the theme of serving for self. People. My Rotary experiences afford me the opportunity to develop new and lasting friendships and to associate with people of action, demonstrated leaders in the vocational and professional fields, community builders, problem solvers, connectors, and peacemakers. And then finally, my Rotary experiences facilitate my philanthropic inclinations to make a lasting difference by delivering hope to those without hope, from literary and peace to clean water and health, and to receive the satisfaction in knowing that my financial contributions are helping 24/7 right now, men, women, boys, and girls from Louisville to the end of the earth to live better lives. Amen?
Barry Allen. Mississippi, right, Barry? I hope you win all your football games except the opener next year. I'd like to invite to the podium Melissa Gray, the chair of our Lifeline Committee, and Larry Sloan, the vice chair, for a very special presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alyssa Gray, President and CEO of the Kentucky Humane Society. On behalf of the Lifeline Committee, we are pleased to sponsor a grant in addition to volunteer hours by several of our Rotarians to the first hour of grief recovery. We are supporting their Hope Wave program with a very large check to give. I'd also like to invite the co-founder, executive director, and Rotarian, Lisa Chardon, to share a few remarks about the program and the impact of our support.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so thrilled to receive this check on behalf of our Hope Wave program. If you don't know anything about our Hope Wave program, we have an in-school program that we offer children in grades 3 through 12 that help them with their grief. And it's just amazing. Right now we're serving 117 students. We have been approved to be in all JCPS schools, and so this check today will help cover the workbooks that give the children a place to put their pain, and allows us to also pay mentors to come in and work with these kids. I've got one really amazing story to share. We have a young new mentor that I sat with recently, and two girls came in. They were in the 5th grade, and they looked seemingly normal. Everything seemed like everything was fine in their life. They were giggling when they came in. They were sharing lip gloss. And then we started sharing our stories. And I found out that one of the girls, through her tears, shared that her father had been targeted. He had been shot and killed. And then she shared that her 16-year-old brother had also been shot and killed. And he had been the one that had helped her through the loss of her dad, their dad, and really helped her with her anger during that time. So I asked her if there was anything that she could do by way of like talking to her mom or sharing her thoughts and feelings with her mother, and she said no. This was the place. This was the place that she felt most safe sharing her feelings. And so, I just want to impress upon you how important this work is that we're doing. We are giving these kids an opportunity to heal. And there are so many stories. Like I said, 117 kids just this semester, and being approved for all 129 schools. There's a lot of opportunity to really make change and to help and heal these children. So thank you very much for your support.
You got a brand new giant check, girl. Yes, come on up. Thank you all so much.
Appreciate you, Lisa. I'm honored to be honoring your work today in transforming the lives of young people. I'd like to invite to the podium, speaking of transforming lives, Claire Arnold, Programming Director at Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, chair of both the club and district global grant scholarship committees, as well as co-chair of the Leadership Fellows Committee, and a Paul Harris.
Thank you, President Ken. Good afternoon. It is my pleasure as the District Scholarship Chair to introduce one of our outstanding Rotary scholars, Natasha Mancour. Natasha is a recipient of the prestigious Rotary Global Grant Scholarship in 2022-2023, where she attended the London School of Economics and earned her master's degree in International Social and Public Policy. She was an undergraduate here at U of L and a Commerce Scholar during that time. Her academic and professional journey has taken her across the globe from India and China to Panama, reflecting a deep commitment to cross-cultural understanding and global impact. Professionally, Natasha has led strategic communications and international engagements with organizations such as the World Affairs Council of America, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the World Trade Center in DC. She is also the founder of her own marketing firm and has mentored numerous scholar recipients, helping students secure over $500,000 in competitive funding. Outside of her professional accomplishments, she's a proud Louisville native and a powerful voice for the community. She even served as one of the youngest eulogists at the memorial service for Muhammad Ali because she was a graduate of the Ali Center's Master's program. Today, she will share her reflections on her experience as a Rotary Global Scholar and the impact that this opportunity has made on her personal and professional journey. Please join me in welcoming Natasha.
That was so touching. Thank you so much. It's been a minute since I've given a speech, so good morning. It is such a pleasure to be able to speak with the club this morning. Many thanks to Claire Arnold for such a kind introduction. Club President Kel Salwaji and President-elect Sexton Smith, I know very well, for the honor of providing remarks at this week's meeting. At a time in the world where ideas like peace, aid, community, and diversity are heavily under scrutiny, I find myself constantly coming back to something that the Rotary founder, Paul Harris, once said. The best way to change the world is to start with yourself. Change is something for me that is not entirely new. In fact, I find change to be the most freeing aspect of being a conscious, empathetic human being. To accept that life doesn't always go the way that we plan, and then sometimes in those lowest, most uncertain moments, we learn the most meaningful truths about ourselves and our ability to be change makers and peace builders. Muhammad Ali certainly did, even in the face of incarceration, defeat, public mistrust. An icon of our very own town was born into the light from the darkness he faced, advocating for his own beliefs, leading to profound global change and empowerment that still inspires the world. 10 years following his passing, it's an honor to be addressing a space that embodies the motto, service above self. And Ali's famous quote, service is the rent you pay for your room here on earth, as one and the same. Being a Rotary Global Grant Scholar at the London School of Economics and contextualizing an entirely new environment means learning new ways of engaging, understanding how the world, or this world, runs, functions, and where I fit into the context of it all. To keep it brief, here's what I learned. Sometimes friendships, and new and old alike, look very different, or are a mirror of the unexpected parts of who we are. I was pleasantly surprised to find a very strong community among Americans with dual heritage, celebrating Thanksgiving and having a common sense of place and a safe space rooted in a shared identity. I would without hesitation trade my favorite Just Right pen for a classic number 2 pencil. Pencils are not just for students, scantrons, or math problems. Relearning the way of the pencil means redefining what it means to make a mistake, not as something to be crossed out or incapable of change, but a concept that allows ourselves to erase and rewrite, and to learn and grow and begin again. Teachers are and will always be some of the single most important catalysts to show you what is possible and encourage your best potential, even if you're 1,000 miles away from your classroom. My dissertation at the London School of Economics would not have been possible without the support of Dr. Jason James from the Political Science Department here at the University of Louisville, who helped me lead and land a distinction honors dissertation, and who taught me that some of the best research projects are not those that answer the most profound questions, but those that ask us to consider what is something that you're curious about. I had the utmost pleasure of being hosted by the Rotary Club of Putney in Southwest London, where I felt more like family than strangers from the moment I touched down at Heathrow and was picked up by my host coordinator, Colin Matthews. What initially was apprehension transformed into deep respect and appreciation, and for making me feel like I had a home away from home,
a warmth that I've only ever known when I'm right here in my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. It was those incredible lessons and experiences that got me through one of the most profoundly informative years of my life, and simultaneously challenged my ability to produce compelling, quantitative, evidence-driven research and translate statistically significant data into meaningful insights. Insights that explore how perceptions affect everyday Americans' choices for people who hold political power. Analyzing the gaps between people power and politics at the London School of Economics helped me and led me to the Rockefeller Foundation, where I worked on the Global Energy Alliance for People in the Planet, micro-solar panel conversion education in the Global South. I've worked with over 75 embassy partners, the Department of State, USAID, Chambers of Commerce at the World Trade Center, exploring new ways to collaborate through cross-cultural educational exchanges and international trade cooperation. It led me to where I am now at the World Affairs Councils of American National Office, a very full circle experience as once an intern and a college freshman with the World Affairs Council of Kentucky, now leading the marketing department at the national office, with a more informed, intersectional perspective on what it means to support educating local communities about the world, and the importance of civil dialogue as a tool for soft power when hard power and wars are not enough. No matter where we look, change is happening. It's constant, and maybe in a direction that makes us feel apprehensive and uncertain. I have been fortunate to learn this journey that sometimes the best answers are often the most simple and human ones. Laughing with your best friends, sharing a meal with a coworker or a Rotary Club member, calling your mom after a long day at work, helping a neighbor with your groceries, asking the simple question to strangers and friends alike, how are you? How can I help? At a time when we are all looking for answers, sometimes the best place to start is what's happening at your own 2 feet. Because of the support from Club 6710, I'm fortunate to know that the path forward in life and in service will never be without a helping hand along the way.
Thank you, Natasha. Now I'd like to welcome to the podium Ashley Brower, the founder and CEO of MAC Strategic Communications, chair of the Speakers Committee, 2022-23 Rotarian of the Year. And Paul Harris Fellow.
Thank you, President Ken. There we go. Okay. Today we are honored to welcome a leader whose work reflects both global impact and deep Louisville roots. Shapira Latts serves as co-president of Heaven Hill Brands, the nation's largest independent, family-owned distilled spirits company, and one of Kentucky's most iconic businesses. A third-generation leader, Kate joined Heaven Hill in 2001 and has played a pivotal role in shaping the company's remarkable growth. Under her leadership, Heaven Hill has become the 5th largest spirits supplier in the United States and the 2nd largest holder of aging bourbon in the world, with more than 2 million barrels currently aging. She has been instrumental in over $1 billion in acquisitions, helping transform Heaven Hill from a family enterprise into a global powerhouse, while preserving its family-first values. Before stepping into her current role, Kate served as Chief Marketing Officer, where she led brand strategy and innovation across a diverse portfolio and brought modern marketing, digital insight, and consumer focus to the forefront of the spirits industry. Prior to Heaven Hill, she began her career at Procter & Gamble, working on household brands like Vicks, Metamucil, and Secret. Beyond the boardroom, Kate is a respected thought leader, mentor, and advocate for women in business. She is active throughout her community, serving on boards of Louisville Tourism, Kentucky Performing Arts, and the Jewish community of Louisville, among others. And she remains deeply committed to education through her alma mater, Duke University. Please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Kate Shapira Latts. Ashley, that was so lovely. Hello, everyone. I'm going to attempt to take this out to walk around. But
Does this seem okay? Everyone can hear me? Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. Okay, here's the clicker. Great. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you so much, Ashley. So I actually spoke for a Rotary event about 10 years ago. Was anybody here? Great. I don't remember what I spoke about, but I'm so excited to be back because so much has changed. So much has changed in Heaven Hill, so much has changed in the world, and I'm really excited to be back with you all. I was so inspired listening to all the speakers who spoke today before me. What an amazing organization. You all should be so proud to your commitment and dedication to this terrific organization. So I'm honored to be here today. So indeed, I am co-president of my family's distilled spirits business, Heaven Hill Brands. I've been doing it for about 25 years. My husband also works with me. That's a whole nother speech I often give. How does that work, working with your husband? So I won't entertain you with that storyline today, but I'm thrilled to be here. And what I want to talk about really is the journey of Heaven Hill. From our early days, when my grandfather and his 4 brothers founded the company in 1935, to where we are today, because I'm sure you all see all the headlines. And the industry has evolved a lot. Someone said the other day that we're living in dog years, because I think like every hour is about a year. And it's been a little turbulent, I have to say. But let's jump in. And I look forward to answering some questions as we conclude when we have a few minutes left. So I want to talk a little bit about Heaven Hill's history through our history and why we have been, from our early days, built to last. And here today, still very much built to last. So as I was mentioning, the company was started in 1935 by my grandfather and his 4 brothers. Our family actually had another business. We had small department stores in different small towns in Kentucky. And my grandfather was living in Bardstown, Kentucky, which everyone knows is the bourbon capital of the world. And some people came to him and said, does your family want to put up capital to be silent partners of this new distilled spirits bourbon venture that we're going to start? And my dad talks about it like, what were they thinking? It was the middle of the Depression. You know, when you make bourbon, you don't get to sell anything for a really long time. And they were very conservative. They knew nothing about bourbon. And in fact, they were all like 20-something, like 25. Like, how did they know what they were doing? They kind of had a successful business, and they yet jumped into this. So, fascinating story. Actually, another side part of this story that I've been telling lately. So, my great-grandfather, the father of these 5 boys, actually died when the youngest of the 5 brothers was like 7. So, for all the women in the room, the hero of this whole story was actually my great-grandmother, whose name was Annie Shapiro, who as a single mom in the 20s raised 5 boys alone, right? And enabled this business, this small department store chain to thrive, and which set the foundation that enabled Heaven Hill to grow. So you can see here, this is my grandfather on the far right. I'm sorry, my right, your left, I guess. And this was our very first distillery, the old Heaven Hill Springs Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. So from the very beginning of this story, there was a lot of tumultuous things that the family had to deal with in getting this company going. Through the 1940s and 50s, specifically the 1940s, well, as I was saying, it obviously started in the 1930s in the middle of the Depression. So just as they were getting going and launched some great brands, Old Heaven Hill, which became the #1 selling bourbon in Kentucky, what happened at the beginning of the 40s? No, it was after Prohibition, but World War II. I'm not sure if you all know this, but all the distilled spirits companies, no matter what you're making, bourbon, vodka, whatever, had to shut down and make alcohol for the war effort. So just when they were getting kind of going, had to stop production. So first big headache. So after the war was really when things got rocking and rolling. And for the first 35 years of the company's history, we focused exclusively on American whiskey, specifically bourbon. And we launched a brand called Evan Williams, which most people know is one of our flagship brands still today, in the 50s. And really, this was a big focus of the company for those first 35 years, overcoming those challenges in its early days. So then, when my dad came to the business in 1970, things are pretty good. They got a going entity. It's still a pretty small business at the time, but things are pretty stable at this point. But what happens in the 70s? Huge inflation. You know, we thought that there was a lot of inflation over a couple of years. Well, when you're making bourbon and putting it to age, and you have all this working capital tied up in bourbon with interest rates that they were in the 70s, that's a whole nother ball of wax. So, first challenge. Second challenge, consumers started moving away from bourbon whiskey. Does that sound familiar? People started diversifying. This was when the American wine industry really started. And my dad, it didn't take long for him to realize a need to start diversifying the company. And so that's exactly what we did through the period of the 70s, the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Still to today, acquisitions have been such an important part of our legacy and our history. Finding brands of many different types, whether they be mature brands that are not going to be as important to the companies that started them, that we can spend more time and attention on, to other things that are a little bit more risky that we buy when they're very small and we can really scale them and take them on. So this has been a big part of the strategy, as well as innovation. We've prided ourselves on understanding the consumer very much, from what they're wanting, where they're wanting it, how they're wanting it. And we lean into those consumer trends to come out with the types of products, the formats that they want, and innovation has been equally part of that journey. So, Ashley gave a lot of these accolades, thank you so much. We very much are thriving together in who we are. Today we talk about our mission. Why do we come to work each and every day? To enhance the enjoyment of life and lift the human spirit. That is a pretty fun reason to get up each morning and come to work, right? We have a saying, we don't sell encyclopedias. No offense if anyone in the room sells encyclopedias. I'm sorry, but that doesn't sound that interesting. This is fun and interesting. So it's really great. My dad always says, when you're at a cocktail party and someone asks you what you do, and you say, oh, I work in my family's distilled spirits company, it never is, oh, anyways, There's always a follow-up question, because it is such a fun business that we operate in. So we also are not going anywhere. We are just getting started. Our vision is to be an admired global spirit supplier of consumer beloved brands, thriving as an independent company for generations to come. And this is what we are built for, continuing to make the company stronger for that next generation. A lot of the key words here that I'm not going to highlight all of them, but this is very intentional, the words that we have on this page. One of the most important of them is the word admired. This is really, really important in the DNA of Heaven Hill, because and I'm going to talk a little about this in a minute, but we thrive on those relationships. We thrive on doing the right thing, very much as you all talked about, the values of Rotary spoke really to me as I think about what the values of Heaven Hill are. So as Ashley was saying, we are now in our third generation of leadership. My husband and I are co-presidents. My dad is executive chairman. He is still in the office before anyone else each and every day. He really was living large a couple weeks ago during the SEC tournament when he left to go home with my mom to watch Kentucky in the SEC tournament, or in the first round of the NCAA tournament. This is living large. This is him being out of the office. So otherwise, he hates to not be there. And he has been an amazing mentor to me and Alan and to the whole company, and continues to be such an inspiration to our entire 1,300 employee base. So yes, 90 years, we just celebrated our 90-year anniversary, really fantastic. We are the 5th largest distilled spirit supplier in the United States. We have the 2nd largest holding of American whiskey, aging, in our warehouses out in Nelson County, and a little bit here in Louisville as well. We have 17 facilities and 1,300 employees all around the world. So a lot of people don't know what Heaven Hill is, and we've changed this a lot over the years. When Alan and I first came to the company 25 years ago, my dad did sort of have a philosophy to kind of fly under the radar, and we've really evolved that profile of the company to be more of a presence in the community and with our partners to tell the story of Heaven Hill. Has become something that we value very much. So, from our early days of just being an American whiskey company, today this is what our portfolio looks like. Lots and lots of brands. Lots of brands. Once somebody mentioned early on how different the world is, right? As far as people. There are a lot of different kinds of people in the world, and the kinds of people that we have in our very diverse world today are very different than they were 70 years ago, or 90 years ago, and even in the 70s when my dad came. So it's really important to us to understand who the consumer is, what are the occasions in which they're drinking our products, what do they want, how do they want it, and this has led to this amazingly rich portfolio that we have. In fact, oftentimes when we speak to people in Kentucky, they either think we are only a bourbon company or only a Heaven Hill vodka company, which maybe some of you, when you were in your early days of drinking and didn't have very much money, might have drunk. In fact, that brand does not exist anymore. We actually, very strategically actually, evolved that brand name because it did not have the best image. It was kind of a low price, low quality perceived product. And we changed the name of it to something called Quality House, so that we could preserve the legacy name of the company, Heaven Hill, and use it for our more premium products. Anyways, today American whiskey is still the heart and soul of the company, with 35% of our revenue coming from bourbon. But look at that really big number. I don't know if you in the back can see it, but tequila is really important at Heaven Hill. Really, really, really important, which is a really great place to be because bourbon and tequila are the hottest categories in the industry. So this has been a key part of our ability to thrive. And of course, vodka is such a big category all the time. Vodka has been a big category in the distilled spirits industry for decades, and it remains to be as such. Okay, the elephant in the room, right? The spirits consumer and industry. Who has read one of these articles this week? Right? Yeah. Lots of doom and gloom. And I don't know if you noticed, but on the slide that I had when my dad came to the business, there was a headline from 1986 from Time magazine that actually said this exact same thing. And at an industry conference a year or so ago, I started the presentation by getting up, and I read this, and everyone's like, yeah, we know this. And I was like, this is from 1986. This is nothing my dad hasn't seen before, right? So all the people who are in a state of panic, everyone needs to calm down. Are there any media people in the room? Yes, some media people in the room. I'm not an anti-media person, but the media is really, really blowing these things out of proportion. And it was really exciting last week. We actually did a very long form interview with a freelance writer from Reuters. And he was coming down to Kentucky and trying to get fodder for a lot of things he was working on. And he's going on about tariffs, and he's going on about politics in the world and consumers not drinking and cannabis and yada yada. And we said, the worst thing going on in the industry right now is all of the headlines. All of the writers that are blowing these things out of proportion. And if anybody saw when Jim Beam made the decision to close down one of their distilleries right before the holidays, keyword, one of, unmentioned, they closed their smaller one. Also unmentioned, no one lost their job. No one's crumbling. But if you read the headlines, that's not actually what you would believe. So we're actually in a place where we're spending a lot of time trying to combat this. And so anyways, this Reuters writer came and he's asking these questions. I say this, da-da-da. We said, you're writing this as if it's this black and white situation, and it's really not. It's a lot more nuanced. And he said, I'm getting the picture. Because we were like on day 3 of all of his interviews or whatever, and he now is going back and writing a story to the fact that it is a lot more nuanced and everybody kind of needs to cool their jets. Because this is leading into a lot of articles like this, that we're starting to see more and more. That a lot of people, maybe they're saying like, oh, I don't sleep so well when I drink, right? Well, really? Is that really true? Or if you ask a group of people, are you drinking less than you used to? Sure. Everyone's older than they were when they used to be asked that question, right? I mean, what was your peak drinking age? When you were 30 or 19, 20, I didn't say 19, 21, right? When you were 21, right? Of course people are drinking less as they get older. This is just how life life works. And there is a dynamic, there are a lot of millennials in the world. A lot of millennials. And millennials are getting to that age today. They're driving carpool. They're going to soccer games. They're probably drinking less than they were 5 years ago. So all this makes sense. But nonetheless, we are also seeing signs of loneliness. We have a loneliness epidemic. Young men are home playing video games and day trading and sports gambling, and they're not out at happy hour. So these are dynamics that are real that we definitely contend with. But one of our board members said last week, every trend has a counter trend. As many things as there are online of, oh, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. There's mockery of all the people now who are like, well, you shouldn't be drinking, what else are we doing? So anyways, this is our feeling about this, and nonetheless, we do not have our heads in the sand. We, though, very much continue to thrive. And so I just want to spend a few minutes telling you our 4 key tenets to how we do that. I talked a little bit about our brands. I've talked a little bit about some of these things. It's our brands, it's our people, it's our partners, and it's our community. And we very much believe our motto at Heaven Hill is thriving together. And that is so key because without this ecosystem of these very important tenets, we wouldn't thrive. And these have been the tenets that have been part of the company for 90 years. That we are just keep walking the talk. So starting with the brands, well, yes, I showed you that very, very, very diverse portfolio of brands with a whole lot of bottles on it. We actually have a jigsaw puzzle with that. It's really good puzzle. These are the brands. These are what we call our power brands. This is where we spend the most of our time and energy. You can see here our flagship bourbons, Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, and our namesake Heaven Hill. And then in the tequila space, 2 of the hottest tequilas in the industry, both Luna Azul at a little bit more of an entry point price point, which is literally one of the fastest growing global spirits brands, which is really remarkable. And then our higher, more premium product, additive-free tequila called Tequila Ocho, which if we could only make more, we would be selling more, which are good problems to have, for sure. So then it's our people. My dad, if he taught us nothing else, it's about the importance of people. And people have been such a part. We talk about ourselves being a family business, but we are truly a family at Heaven Hill. And this is how people come to work each and every day. How we treat our people, the opportunities we give people for growing and developing as we're growing has been such a tremendous thing. I have so many people on my old marketing team who've been with the company since they just graduated high school from college, and are thriving and are senior leaders in our company today. But we also balance that with bringing in amazing talent from the outside too. And so we have this great combination of legacy people who always are wanting to grow and develop, and also talent that comes in from the outside. So we feel really exciting about this. We continue to win awards around Best Place to Work and all of those great accolades, which again is important to us because we want to be admired. We want to be a place where people here locally want to come and work, and we feel like we're thriving. This is our new headquarters, which we just moved into last summer, which is amazing. And people are so important to us. We actually have a branding around our culture. It's called our Spirited Commitment. This is such an important thing that we live and breathe at Heaven Hill each and every day. These are the values of Heaven Hill. And again, there were so many of them really felt consistent with the values of Rotary, which was exciting to see. Our partners, I talked a lot about them, not just our brands and our people, but also our distributor partners that help sell our brands, our partners who help make our products. Obviously, we do not make our tequila here in America. We have to make tequila in Mexico. So we have tremendous partners that we work with, which, again, such long-time relationships. Many of our distributor partners have been around for the entirety of our 90-year history. Many others that are family-owned businesses in their 3rd, 4th, and 5th generations even. And last but not least, our commitment to our communities. Commitment to our communities and how we show up and be good corporate citizens is the 4th key tenet at Heaven Hill. And whether it be through the $500,000 we give back each and every year to the volunteering programs that we have for our employees, it is such an important part of how we show up and we ask of a commitment for our employees as well. So in just neighborhood down the way, in our distillery, our Bernheim distillery is our flagship distillery. And we have a program in the California neighborhood called the Spirited Neighbor Program, where small organizations can come and ask for micro grants. And this is something we've been committed to for a number of years now and look forward to being able to continue. So in conclusion, if you take nothing else away from this, Heaven Hill is truly built for this. Heaven Hill has been built for this for 90 years. We have the brands, the people, the partners, and how we show up in our community is what enables us to continue to thrive each and every day. And I've been thinking a lot about this. Our goal is truly to make the company stronger for that next generation. And that's what I come to work each and every day, to make that company stronger, to make brands that are that much more beloved for our consumers around the world and lift that human spirit. So thank you.
Hi, Ann Monell, and it seems I'm a fan of a lot of your products. And I'm embarrassed. My husband would know, he knows every distiller who makes what, and I'm like, oh yeah, I drink that. Thank you. I'm just curious, as a family business, how do you stay connected to your 1,300 employees? And then also, are you cultivating your next generation?
Yeah, well, the first one is easy. How do we stay connected to our employees? And so another topic that I speak on is around authentic leadership. And one of the things I talk about is everyone needs to have their fuel. And for me, my fuel are people. And so it's very easy for me to feel connected to our employees. But this, again, has just been such a part of the DNA of Heaven Hill. We're able still, at 1,400 people, to, when people get promoted, Alan or I write a handwritten note to them congratulating on this. We are very, very, very visible. We're not leaders who spend their winters in Florida, although I sure would have liked to not be here all winter. But we are very, very present. We participate in our onboarding, our orientation program, so we're some of the first people that new employees see when they come in the company. My dad does this amazing program called Meals with Max, where people sign up, and he does them in our Louisville office, he does them in our Bardstown facilities, and he does them virtually, which is a really great thing. They're like with 3 or 4 people and my dad. So, easy. Second question, wait, what was the second question?
Next generation.
Oh, next generation, right. Well, that's a challenge. Many of you know my children. Our son, both our kids live in New York. One's 25, one's almost 23. One is an aspiring actor, and our daughter is an investment banker. So, jury's out. But when I was their age, I was like, I'm never living in Louisville again. So, things change and evolve. So not at the moment. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Kate. Kevin Smith with Goodwill, formerly with Beam and Maker's Mark. I live in Bardstown.
Dear partner.
Yeah, I helped build the distillery that they just mentioned over the California neighborhood. I want to applaud you because in this industry, which I was in for a long time, it was very male dominated. And you have done a fantastic job representing the females of this business, and I think you're one of the few top executives, if I'm correct in that. Could you just speak quickly how challenging that has been, and where do you see all this going?
Yeah, great question. So honestly, the hardest part, internally at Heaven Hill, I haven't ever felt that challenge so much, especially when I was leading marketing. We actually had a reverse problem. We had like 90% women and 10% men, so that was different. But part of the industry that really is still so dominated by men is the sales landscape and the distributor landscape, that second tier that we sell to. And when I was first stepping into this role as co-president, that was the part that I was the most daunted by. Like, how was I gonna show up and be tough and da-da-da? And like my longtime mentor just said, or would always say, you put your big girl pants on and you just do it.
Hi, Chris Buick. Thanks for all the knowledge. This has been great. So many things. First of all, according to my algorithm, millennials are coming to save the day. It doesn't matter what Gen Z is doing. Millennials are going to take up the slack and they're going to drink all the drinks. So great, don't worry. That's on my feet all the time. But I I do have two questions. First of all, when you acquire a brand, what does that look like? Do you just get the recipe? Do you take over the entire facility? Do you revamp it? Do you grow it in your own place? What does that look like? And then secondly, is in regards to additives in tequila. You mentioned specifically that one of yours is additive free, and I just wonder your thoughts about the abundance of additives in, especially like in amber tequilas, and if that will lead into the bourbon world.
Oh, such a question. Okay, love those questions. Okay, so we've made a lot of acquisitions over the years, and they have all had different flavors, no pun intended. So like sometimes we would buy a brand, and we were just buying the brand and the trademark, and then we would start buying the glass from that company, and if it was a bourbon, we would start using our bourbon in that product. This is going back way, way long ago. If it was Dubet, for example. So those are things where we just kind of tack them on. Then there are things like when we bought DeBetty. DeBetty is a Texas vodka, and we bought the whole facility in Texas. It had its own sales organization, so all of those people came, and then over time we integrate some of those things. And that's basically the rest of the kind of things. Some parts of it get integrated over time, or we are able to we're just buying the brand without people. So those have been kind of the two biggest types. When it comes to additives in tequila, so it's a little complicated. Like there are certain things that are allowed to be added to tequila by the tequila governing people in Mexico. But while it's allowed, some brands like Tequila Ocho don't add anything. Even though it's allowed to be tequila, and to be 100% agave tequila, literally Tequila Ocho doesn't even add yeast. Tequila Ocho has natural yeast. It is literally the agave and the water, and that is how Tequila Ocho is made. So there's a lot of hoopla that. Now bourbon has its own set of standards, right? You have to have a certain mash bill, certain grain balance. You can have different kinds of yeast, but bourbon can have nothing added to it. No coloring, no nothing. So bourbon is pretty standard. I don't know if you know this, but the identification of what a bourbon was like one of the only and/or first like designations in America of what it took to be a product, an American product, which is pretty cool. Did that answer your question? Yeah.
Hey, Tyler Allen.
Hi, Tyler.
Thank you. Could you go a little deeper on your all's getting into the tequila business? I know I started drinking a lot more during COVID. Tequila. It grew hugely, and I'm just curious how you identified your brand as a main part.
Yeah, great question. So we always had, like back in the day, like when we came to the company, it was part of that early diversification where, not 100% agaves were always popular, like think just regular Jose Cuervo. And we had our version of that brand that was kind of like a value price brand. We worked with a partner in Mexico, and we bottled, it could be bottled here in Kentucky. So that we had that business for a really long time. So then in 2008, maybe, we partnered with a company to start the brand Renoso. And actually, the company we were partnering with had come up with the name and the concept. And so we were in very, very early in the 100% agave space. And we weathered a lot of challenges along the way with that. So we've been in it for a long time. And Luna's like, it really has been in the post-COVID years where that brand has really skyrocketed. It has it's a very popular multicultural brand, so it started popping up in places like Detroit and DC and South Carolina, and it's kind of spread like wildfire. So Tequila Ocho was part of our most recent acquisition, which has already been 4 years, where we bought a collection of brands, where it was kind of like a small private equity group had put together a collection of 6 brands, and we bought all 6 brands. And Tequila Ocho just was right place, the right time, and we've been trying to scale production since. It's a very special brand.
Cliff Elkin, when the governor was in Bardstown for the groundbreaking of the Lux Row new distillery, people from Heaven Hill were there as part of that ceremony. Can you talk a little bit about your support of the industry as a whole?
Yeah, that's a great question too. This is part of what makes the industry so fun, because while everybody might be fighting for that next sale at the liquor store or trying to convince the consumer to buy your product or the other, especially on the production side. When it comes to production, it is a very collegial industry. And Kevin Smith, who worked at Bean Centauri, and our team have been we're ever so close for sharing things. We go into each other's plants and see how people are doing things and what new technology there is. So it's always been wired that way. Even at the, talk about being a female in the industry, there's a group of women called Fire and Rain that is like C-suite level female leaders across the industry that I'm a part of, that has been a great, just not even networking, but just like camaraderie that has been, so there's a lot of different levels of collaboration for sure. Hi, just really quickly, you spoke a lot about your experiences in marketing, and marketing is also really evolving with technology. So how are you guys approaching AI marketing, especially in the beverage industry, and how are you guys both fighting it or accepting it as a tool for work and assistance? Oh, great. Certainly not fighting AI. My husband is the leader of the AI parade at Heaven Hill. Yes, he is very AI obsessed, but in marketing in particular, there's so many ways that we're using it, from everything from a brand manager has a vision, has an idea, and when they're working with our creative team, can put their ideas, talk to ChatGPT or whatever, and it can give an idea of what they're looking for. So then the packaging work or the concepting work can be that much farther along when our creatives get behind it. So that's really been a time savings, a cost savings, a communication builder, so great. When it comes to media buying, this is another space where I think AI is really helping analyze and make smarter decisions. We're doing a lot of AI, using AI with consumer research, where there's ways that you can actually simulate people, so you don't even actually have to talk to people, you just create people, you create bots, and you can then expose concepts, expose packaging to the bots, and then figure out if real people would want that, the red package or the blue package or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Thank you. This is a motion of appreciation of your time here and with the doorway test.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Barbara, what's coming up?
All right, Kate, thank you so much. I just hope that you are speaking on the international stage. And do take that Fire and Water brand. That's amazing. That's the name of the next drink, I think. Hey, one thing I want to thank you for personally, and thank your family for, is you all are the epitome of what it means to believe in downtown Louisville. Because you all came right there to the corner of 6th and Main, and you not only planted an amazing business. You know I live across the street and 1 block down. I am a testimony, you all. People come from around the world every week to go to where Kate is. I think they're coming to see you, Kate. And when you all come downtown, you know you can only drive west at this point on Main Street. I'm trying to get that turned into 2-way, but you can only drive west. So as you're coming down Main, here's what you get. First, you get to see the world's largest bottle of bourbon poured upside down into a glass. And then there's the world's largest statue. If you stop and have too much bourbon, you'll think that that is real. It's 32 feet of David. And then the world's largest baseball bat. So come on down. All right, next week, where's Alyssa Gray? Alyssa, stand up. I normally don't ask the speakers to stand up because they are normally not here, normally not Rotarians. Next week, y'all, Alyssa Gray, our very own fellow Rotarian. Yeah.
Puppies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I'm getting there. I got a whole script up here. So, she's the president and CEO of the Kentucky Humane Society, and she's going to talk about the role of welfare of animals and how important that is. I had to read this script twice. You're going to talk about the intersection of affordable housing, right, and animal care, and stability of families. I love that. So it's pets and people. Next week, let's all show up to support Alyssa Gray, and she is bringing puppies. I think that was plural. All right, here you go. If you want to learn more about Rotary, if you've been a guest, and there's many of you here, please join us over at the What is Rotary table. It will be fabulous with one and only 50-plus years Rotarian, Craig Sherman. Yes, thank you, Craig. And then we hope you all will come back next week. We hope our guests will come back as well. Please register by scanning the QR code and make sure you let Tracy or Delene know before Monday at noon. President Ken, are you going to be here next week?
No, you're gonna run the meeting. I'll be having a grandchild.
What? I'm running the meeting next week? Okay, well, I got a whole week's notice on that. Thank you, Ken.
Everyone have a blessed Easter weekend. We are adjourned.